Josh and Frankie with a couple of dumb shits. Hello, primates! You found Primus Tracks. Congratulations! What? How did you do that, you little scoundrel? There's a lot of places to find Primus Tracks, actually. And they're not hidden. We're at Primus Tracks on the socials, on the webs, and we're over at patreon.com/Primus Tracks as well. My name is Josh. He is one of Mexico's finest. It's Frankie Berestein.
Hi, Josh.
Welcome back, Frankie, from the 39th floor of Primus Tracks Towers, excuse me.
Buenas tardes, Kello.
Buenas tardes.
And that is the voice of another one of Mexico's finest. Maybe Mexico's finestest. And just to show his superior position, he's on the 40th floor of Primus Tracks Towers. I don't know how he got a security clearance to get there. Kello Gonzalez, welcome back to Primus Tracks.
Thank you very much.
And your beautiful Carl Thompson bass.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me again and making me work during my... What day is it supposed to be?
Tuesday.
Yeah, we're recording on a Tuesday in an undisclosed year. The good people will hear this soon enough. Today we are talking about Nothin Ventured. We're on track 8 already of Les Claypool of Wales.
Before we jump into the track, Josh.
Yeah, Frankie.
So the guy on the boat is like really laying back at this point. Is he dosed enough? Has he had enough of this podcast?
Frankie is, of course, referring to the beautiful crocheted figurines of our Caesar cheese illustration that the wonderful Trish created and sent to me. The guy in the boat, yes, he used to sit up straight. He used to be upright,
he's had enough, right?
As though he were going to face these sea monsters. And now he does seem resigned to his fate, as though he is leading back to say, "Take me now. It is over." Maybe there's a connection to the old man in the sea in here somewhere.
Yes.
Some kind of thing. Okay, yeah, we should talk about the track, but Kello, we were talking beforehand, 15 years of Parasite. You just celebrated that, and I know you've got all kinds of other stuff happening as well with Nata. You're still pushing that album with your name on it, but supposedly you're on vacation.
Supposedly, yes. Yeah, a lot of music coming out this year. We actually have a new Parasite album coming out, probably when this is out. Hopefully when this is out.
That's right? Awesome. Excellent.
I'm starting to work on my second album, my second KU album, and some other stuff will eventually, I don't know if this year, but eventually will come out as well. Non-stop new music. I think that's what it's all about.
Can't stop, won't stop. That's the story of Kello Gonzalez. Actually, that kind of ties into what we're going to talk about with the lyrical themes today. So you're certainly living the Nothin Ventured spirit, I suppose.
That's correct.
He said matter-of-factly. All right, yeah, let's run it down. Nothin Ventured, 3 minutes, 8 seconds. It's track 8 on your Of Wales and Woe recording. The credits are as follows, and we've seen this a few times now on the record. Les Claypool, bass, vocals, guitar, drums. Mike Dillon vibes, Skerrick, tenor sax. Little known fact, Frankie, Nothin Ventured. The working title was No Risk It, No Biscuit.
Wow, that's a revelation.
It's also entirely fabricated. I made that up. But the spirit of the words is the same. Another working title was You Miss 100% of the Shots You Don't Take.
Amazing.
A beautiful quote from the one and only Michael Scott via Wayne Gretzky. I like the little flourishes. Thanks, Kello.
Yeah.
There's nobody here to do a rim shot, so you got to do that, right?
It's like watching Seinfeld. Claypool Seinfeld.
Yeah. What's the deal with these cultural idioms? No risk it, no biscuit. I can't have gluten. All right, I'm done. Well, let's turn it over to Frankie. Frankie, you often provide us with much wisdom around these tracks and their live histories. I know this is a big one.
In an unexpected turn of events, we stumble upon Nothin Ventured, a track that was never performed live.
Wow! Nothing ventured, nothing played. Got it.
Well, I mean, he plays drums, guitars, sings, bass. I mean, how can he do it?
Exactly.
All?
I suppose.
Exactly.
We'll give him a pass. It's tough to do all those things at once. Interesting. So this is one of very few Les Claypool songs that never made it to the stage with any iteration of his bands.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of tracks on this record which were played a few times only, but Nothin Ventured takes the prize for not being performed ever. And if we could wager a reason why, it could come down either to the complexity of the song. Perhaps the band rehearsed it at some point. It would be interesting to ask any of the fancy band members if they have any recollection of the song coming up in rehearsals, but not making it to a final performance. But at the same time, I mean, by this point, by 2006, Les had an amazing catalog of music to pick from. So I can see why he would prioritize other stuff over one of the most obscure tracks on the record.
Yeah. I'm going to throw out a challenge then to our tens of listeners, a bounty hunt of sort. If you can find a Nothin Ventured tease in any of the fancy band live recordings or subsequent Les Claypool band iterations, I will send you a prize. I will not tell you what that prize is. You will just receive something from me. But you must provide audio proof. And you can't just stitch KO playing the riff into a live recording. I will know. There it is. Speaking of this tune here, to me, this is one of the rare songs in the Claypool catalog in which there's a direct connection between the music and lyrics. Generally, the music comes first, the lyrics come later. Les matches them up, decides which one works with which, and off he goes. To me, though, lyrically, this tune is about taking chances in order to make something of one's life. And, of course, Les took a chance on making a career of playing bass, making a career in music. And I think he reminds us, or perhaps even rewards us, with a couple of bass solos on this track, as if to remind us that music was the risk he was taking. And that could be me filling in a gap there, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was the secret link, between the music and the lyrics that Les just dropped in there. I actually want to forward that to you, KO, being a man who's made a music career for himself. What's your Nothin Ventured moment? You probably have tons of them. You've just had to go for it throughout your career, I imagine.
My philosophy is do what makes you happy. That's actually a lot of venturing, because I have a lot of friends in the music business that just because they want to make it, they go for whatever's hip or whatever's been streamed or in the radio, and they lose their credibility. I mean, people are not dumb, I mean, even though you may be playing something that's what's been listened to right now, if it doesn't come from the right place, the public will feel it, and your music will not be heard per se, right? Parasite, my album, anything that I do comes from the heart, comes from the right place, and it's music that I want to do because I like doing that, not because I believe it's something that's will make me rich. Hopefully it would, but it's not the case, One thing follows the other, I mean, if you do it from the right reasons, then people connect to what you do. And I think that's less, I mean, Primus, that's been, I think, their life's work at doing whatever they want to do.
Right.
And it works. I mean, I've had bands where I think this shouldn't be liked by anyone.
Yeah.
People connect because it is something that's honest. And I think Primus has the same essence of. It doesn't make sense. I mean, how is it that someone likes a song? I mean, would you go back to 90 something when you heard "My Name Is Mud"? I mean, and it was a hit.
Yeah, which boggles the mind to this day. What were people thinking?
That's right. But that's the thing. I mean, you need to risk it. You need to be honest. You need to be bold. You need to be audacious with your craft. You know, you need to differentiate your voice. I mean, no pun intended, but I mean, as a bass player, you need to find your voice, and that's what I tell everyone. That's the risk. Part of the risk. You know, you need to. Because I have so many bassist friends that they're clones of whoever they like, you know. I know my sound has a big Claypool influence, but I try to make that part of my bag of tools. You know?
Yes, it's in the tool belt, but it's not the only tool.
Right.
Yeah.
And, again, no pun intended as well.
I've seen your tool covers too.
But that's what I mean. Going back to the song, right? You know, if you don't risk being honest, then you're risking. I mean, the risk is higher. You know, the stakes are higher.
Yeah, and I think you're pointing to something important, which is, and you didn't even mention failure, which is doesn't even enter the lyrics of this song because you went for it, and that's what matters. It doesn't. If you fail, you fucking went for it, and that's what counts.
No, think about this.
Yeah,
the rate that you have of success is minimal.
Oh yeah.
So if you do something and you're not enjoying the process, and the risk of it failing per se, it's higher, then it's a lose-lose situation.
Right.
On the other hand, if you do something that you're passionate about, you're already winning.
You'll never lose.
You're already winning.
Yeah.
And if you take it to the next level, then it's a double win. You know, that's the thing about it. You know, and many people don't realize that.
I agree 100%. I was thinking about this, of course, in the lead up to recording this, and I was thinking about everybody has their Nothin Ventured moments, and so I was thinking about earning my doctoral degree. I didn't have to do it, but I knew I could, and I went for it, and I earned it. You know, it helped me get a nice pay raise, so that's nice. But I could do it, and I proved it to myself. Of course, this podcast was like the lowest risk thing anybody could ever do. But it, there was no expectation, but it actually caught on, and there actually have been some rewards.
The passion behind it, it's what drove it, you know?
Yeah.
This podcast oozes passion.
It oozes a lot of things. Passion's one of them. So there's a lot of these moments that I think everybody can point to in their own lives as well, and hopefully not look back with regret later, that they went for something that they were passionate about, or at least they tried, and that's what counts. Let's talk about the music now that we've waxed philosophical and got that out of the way. I wrote down, I stole one of Frankie's terms. I called it a stop-start delight because it is classic Claypool. But you mentioned this when we were talking beforehand, KO. It seems as though it'll stay in its box the entire time, because it does feel like a one-part song. But then about halfway through, we get a bass solo, and then we get some sax wildness with some bass variation under it.
Marimba.
We get some really chaotic iterations of the main riff.
You mean chaotic minute. Like Kello? Or
K-A-A-O-T-E-C. Yes. Took me a second. Chaotic. Hey, that's the name of your next solo record, right?
You spoiled it.
Oh. Oops.
Not really. but what I meant with that is, and I think most Claypool songs are built that way. There's this one riff that makes a song. And then you have your variations, like in this case, right? You'll have your variation of a theme.
Yeah.
On his solo songs, you normally have a lot of studio improv. That's how I would call it.
That's
where
a great
he'd
term
say,
for it.
Okay, you solo here, I'll solo there, and then you just go nuts here, and then we get back to the riff, right? That's kind of the structure that he has on a lot of these songs.
Yeah.
Now, this particular album, and I don't know how much has been discussed yet about that, is I think from the solo albums up to this point, is the most bass riff driven of his solo albums, which is something I appreciated. Because the other ones were a little bit more spacious or more atmospheric, or he was trying to leverage having more sounds and instruments. Here, it would seem that he composed. I mean, you can see because he plays a lot of stuff here, but he composed the songs, recorded them, and then he said, "Okay, I'll add a sax here, I'll add this there, and I'll add." So I mean, but it was this was indeed more of a solo effort that I'm pretty sure he just took his bass, started playing, recorded riffs, put lyrics on, assembled the songs, and then invited someone.
That's pretty much it, and that's been the pattern, I think, through the tunes.
I have a question for you guys. Les said that One Better is the bicep.
Yeah.
Lost Stinks is the scrotum.
Yep.
Rumble of the Diesel are the hips. What is Nothin Ventured?
It's the heart.
The heart. Ooh.
That's great.
No?
I agree with that.
That's where the risk comes. I mean, you don't think it, you just feel it.
100%. I was going to go amygdala because that's your, emotional reaction. But yeah, I'll go with heart.
It could be that too,
I think there's more. I think there's more to it. So I'll go with heart over my dumb suggestion. without pause either. KO, man, insightful. The heart of it's funny because I wouldn't normally think that when I run down the track list, but Nothin Ventured, the heart of the record.
But not heart as in romantic or
no.
More like the passion and the drive.
I'm seeing that it is the heart for the passion, especially given the lyrical content, but also the bass solos, right? It's all coming together here. I do want to play a few parts and then ask you to model them if you don't mind with that beautiful Carl Thompson of yours. I'll try. You'll try. I appreciate that. This thing's only 3 minutes, just over 3 minutes. That's this one is compact. And I actually had to listen to it a couple of times because I was trying. What I will say is I was trying to remember how it went in the second half of the tune, and I couldn't remember because it's been a while since I listened to this record. So I had to put this track on, and then I went, oh yeah, he does some really cool stuff. Because in my head, it was the first minute and a half of the song was the entire song to me. So hearing the variations of the bass solos and that kind of thing, it was wonderful. I'm actually going to go to the chaotic, and you know the spelling, iterations of the main in the second half of the tune. The reason I want to do that is Primus has a new drummer named John Hoffman, and for some reason, based on the footage we saw of auditions and what I've seen of John's drumming on his social media channels, Les is doing the kind of drumming here that he wants drummers to do when he plays with them, in the sense of they're not smashing through their giant cymbals. They're doing things that are busy and some might term chaotic, but the hi-hat's closed and there's a lot of action on the snare and other drums. That's what I heard, but judge for yourself. That's a really fun part.
It is.
There's so much going on, so it really builds up to that point. What do you hear in there, KO, from a perspective, bass perspective?
I don't think it's the most complicated riff
Yeah.
he has. It's relatively simple actually, but it's a very Claypool-esque riff. I think throughout the song we hear the main riff with variations, which is the something like that. And then what he does is, I think it's in the second verse, he goes up, right?
Up a step, yeah.
Throughout the song is the riff with the end variations, right? There's one that he does. There's another place where he just does this.
Yeah, the harmonic
Right.
one's really funny to me.
And but it's very fun. It's a fun song because I mean, again, it's the riff and the variations on the ending. And the fun part, and I remember the first time I heard this song, the solo comes out of nowhere. It comes out of nowhere, and when I heard it, I even said, "What happened?" Because it kind of sounds even off key, you know.
Oh, interesting.
But in a very Claypool way. And the thing that struck me the most of that solo, I know that I mean, if he were to play this live, it'd be different.
Right.
More improvised, open, something would happen. But the feeling it has, it's very Latin, you know? It has a very Latin feel. That's the first thing that struck me when I listened to that solo. It sounded like, is he playing salsa? That's what I thought, you know? Is he playing salsa? Like something like...
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, no, he's doing... Something like that, but...
That's the 5-minute version, but it sounds great.
You know, it's all based around this.
Oh, fun.
It's enclosed here. But it's fun. I mean, again, very Claypool.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I love the flair on the fast fingers at the end of the phrase. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. And again, I mean, that salsa feel. I don't know. Claypool doesn't come out to me, at least, as someone that would be particularly influenced by salsa. You know?
Right. Yeah, I don't think it was part of his makeup.
But I think it just came out. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think he meant it that way, but that's how it came out.
Yeah. That's interesting because we know where salsa comes from. El corazón.
There you have it.
We're making all kinds of connections here today. That solo, so unexpected, because at the end of those iterations of the main riff, you start with just a harmonic, you get a little fill, and then you get this extended solo about 17 seconds, which leads into some about 20 seconds of a saxophone wildness from Skerrick, which I would certainly be remiss if I didn't highlight it. So let's give Skerrick some love right here for this madness. Yeah.
He does some variations there. You know, he's doing it.
That sounds really fat. Frankie, does that qualify as thick?
That was thick AF.
The judge has spoken.
And I got to say, I love the drums on this track.
Yeah,
they're kind of buried under the wall of sound, but they're really great.
We keep saying on this record that Les is doing his Jay Lane impression, but this one I think takes that to the extreme because he's hitting that hi-hat. You know, he is just living on that hi-hat in this tune, and then taking it to the snare and that chaotic part and just pushing it. All that practice with Electric Apricot paid off. And one thing I wanted to say, Ko, is, I know that you've had saxophone players on select Perzit tracks.
Yes, Adrián Terrazas, former Mars Volta saxophonist.
Wow. What if you just rang up Skerrick? Dream come, it'd be pretty sweet.
That'd be pretty good.
I think he'd make some noise for you.
Yeah, I like noise. I like noise.
I guess I was just surprised coming back to this tune that it was a bit more dynamic than I remembered, and it's holding up much like the rest of this record is holding up very well. I think it certainly has value, and I've said this before about a lot of Claypool tracks, Primus tracks, pun, unlike this podcast, does not overstay its welcome. It's 3 minutes, it's in and out, but there's a lot of quality stuff happening. Even this little cool end groove in the last 20-odd seconds takes us out. Yeah, I like that.
I don't think I got that one. But it's he's paraphrasing the riff.
Right.
Low. It's a great song.
Nice and percussive too. It is. It is. I'm surprised by how much I'm appreciating it coming back to it now.
And again, this is a very bass riff driven album, and I think he's enjoying just messing around with the riffs.
I agree with you, and just the tenuous connection to the lyrics that I've already posited, I think, is what gives us some more power to me. Let's talk lyrics, shall we? Frankie. Yes. Claypool is going back to the cultural idiom well yet again. And there are 3 of them in this set of lyrics. Obviously, the title, Nothin Ventured, references nothing ventured, nothing gained, which is repeated throughout the tune. I did not know this, that it appears in its original English form, or at least as far as we know, as far back as 1546 in an English book of Proverbs. And the wording is different, but the sentiment is the same. So this is a phrase that in some way, shape, or form has been uttered for nearly 5 centuries by humans to
And what
indicate...
was the original version?
Oh, you're going to make me look it up, huh? I didn't write it down. I believe it was nothing ventured, nothing had, and then there was a second line to it. And it was about, you don't get anything unless you try. And I'm paraphrasing. The other cultural idiom that springs up is something borrowed, something blue. Are you guys familiar with that phrase?
Yeah, for the weddings.
For marriages, yes. Something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. So that's a wedding tradition, which also is English and goes back to at least the 1800s. So Les is really treading deep in English idioms here. That one is still in wide circulation. I have no idea if that has been transferred to other cultures and languages. I don't know if that's something that you guys have heard outside of American or English media. Are you nodding, Frankie? I can't tell because I can only see your forehead, and I thought you knocked your iPad down.
No, it's we've heard it before.
Okay. Is it in wide circulation in Mexico? Do people say that a lot, or some variation?
I was under the impression it was kind of universal, but
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know if it's still widely followed, but you see it in media a lot, TV shows, movies, and that sort of thing. To supposedly, of course, secure a happy marriage. Those are the 4 things you need. Actually, the original phrase is something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue, 6 pence in your shoe. You don't see a lot of brides walking down the aisle with coins rattling in their shoes. So I think that part has been lost. And then there's a sneaky one that Claypool inserts into this track. It's at the very end when he says, "One man's solitaire is a rosy palm by any other name." And I think that's my favorite line in the tune. Kello has furrowed his brow. He's thinking about the possibilities. It's actually a great masturbation pun. What he's doing is he's putting a couple of things together. He's putting together one, the slang of Rosie Palms or Rosie Palmer and her 5 sisters, which is a term for a guy's hand, which he would use to pleasure himself. But when he says a rosy palm by any other name, he's invoking that oft-quoted line from Romeo and Juliet, "A rose by any other name would smell as sweet." So he's cramming those 2 things together to make a really good masturbation joke. It's well done, Mr. Claypool. He's jamming a lot of cultural idioms into this tune.
I would never have figured that out. Les is a genius.
You could argue the guy that figured it out for you is a genius, too.
The salty air helps to fade the pain. It's enough to rumble up the diesel.
You think so? Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's thematic links there. And I've never really looked into that, if salt air is easier on the old joints or something like that. But I can tell you, when I'm on the Oregon coast or any other oceanic coast, the salt air does wonders for my hair. It gives it much more volume, and it looks fantastic. Kind of like Kello's, actually. Otherwise, we're not at that track yet.
Oh, sorry.
No.
Every now and then, you're gonna get slapped with a slap of rain. Sounds like, yeah, difficult times will be inevitable, right?
Exactly. And I think that's the message. And I wrote in my notebook, this is Claypool's version of a motivational speech. That you're going to get slapped with some rain every once in a while. Keep plugging away. And then
my favorite line is, "Some die and leave their mark. Some just leave a stain." It's kind of brutal in its objectivity.
It's really straightforward. You die and leave your mark, or you don't contribute and you've made the world a worse place. I have noticed Les really likes the word stain. He uses it twice in this tune. I was thinking of the Ballad of Buckethead, where he uses that word. I know he's used it a whole bunch of other times. And of course, my first thought
he used to call Brain the beaver stain.
That is exactly where I was headed. Brain the beaver stain. So like that word must be one of his go-to words. Now, I have to ask you this, Kello. What's one of your go-to words when you're writing lyrics for Parasite? That's a joke. I know.
I go to Google Translate. That's
Jeez
not a
days.
joke.
Oh, man. So, yeah, that part, some die and leave their mark, some just a stain, that is pretty straight ahead commentary. And of course, he is presenting that through those vignettes. And it's clear that he's on the side of leaving a mark, a good mark, not a skid mark. He really wants to clearly he's worked in music all this time, and he's made an impression upon lots and lots of people, the 3 of us included, probably you listening included. And I think he takes a bit of pride in that. I don't think he would admit it. But then he tells this story, these 3 little stories about the guy that drove the milk truck until he either got dementia or it bored him to death. I can't really tell. But no judgment. For some people, that's living their best life, is driving the milk truck. I think the saddest vignette is the woman with the something borrowed, something blue that gets melanoma. That's just a sad story. I'm not sure what it has to do with the theme of the tune, but it's there.
I think the lesson there is that it's better to have loved her, even if she passed away, than to never have married her.
I'm into it.
Because then he wouldn't have experienced that kind of joy.
Which is another Nothin Ventured adjacent quote is that it's better to have loved and lost than never loved at all. Credited to Tennyson. So maybe I'm sure that's the connection, Frankie. Thank you. And then our last vignette is the guy that sold his house to buy a wood trawler and do what he loved, which is ocean fishing. Imagine that. Fishing in a Claypool song. So that guy was living his best life. I think that's the example of the person making their mark, or at least for themselves, right? Staying true to themselves, going for it, whatever it might be. So those little vignettes are so brief, but I suppose they're quite visceral. And there's once again, he's doing a lot with a little as far as these words go. And I think this is lyrically one of the stronger tracks on the record. Right up there with Robot Chicken.
Really aligned with the message. In line with the point he's trying to get across, right?
Yeah, that it all comes together here. And the thing we don't know is how much he labors over his lyrics. And we've talked about it a little bit. I mean, we've done 200 odd episodes. And we've seen extracts from his legal pads in which he is jotting lyrics and crossing things out and editing, revising, amending in the Over the Electric Grapevine book. So we know that there's alternate lyrics or drafts that had to be workshopped. And of course, we know from the early demos, many lyrics from early tunes have been changed too. So
we can agree that Les is not a man of few words.
There's a lot of words in that lyric book.
So I don't think he'll have a problem coming up with lyrics or words or something that rhymes with some other word. I mean,
whatever rhymes with stain, he's got it. No, that part flows. And so he certainly has that. Because Frankie knows, being a huge Oysterhead fan, if it doesn't flow from the pen.
Out of the pen, he will carpenter again.
There you go. I knew you could finish that for me. Now KO's going to play Pseudo-Suicide because of the reference. No, I'm kidding. There it is. There, I know that note. That's at 1 minute and 3 seconds. It's my favorite note in the whole track. These are profound lyrics, and they, like I said, it's his version of a motivational speech in a way. At least go try. You know, if you don't go for it, you'll never know. Yes, that beautiful sound can only mean one thing, guys. It's time for Primate's Takes. If you would like your take on the track up for discussion, read right here on the podcast, all you have to do is go to patreon.com/Primus Tracks. There's a lot of junk over there. I'm really selling it. But one of the best features, I think, Frankie, is at every level, any level of support,
you get heard.
You are heard, right? For a moment I thought you said hurt. We're not in the business of hurting anyone.
Unless that's your thing.
Or if you're into it, I will dabble. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. I put the thread up for the track to be discussed. You put your thoughts and I read them right here. So let's do that now. Our pal Mickey Waters says, I think this is my favorite, at least musically. I assume he means on the album. It's just so chaotic, especially that ending, and Les's crispy hi-hat work getting closer and closer to J-Ski. Thank you, Mickey. Edwin Allen Richards IV, our landed gentry, says, nothing like some solid bouncing bass and the mighty screech of Skerrick sax. Is it a cautionary tale? An encouragement to try new things? A secret fisherman's chronicle? Whatever it is.
Oh,
I enjoy
great point. Controversial, brave, and controversial.
Look out, Edwin. They're coming for you.
Yeah.
Eric in Australia, our resident curmudgeon, who may not like that title, but I have bestowed it upon him and I will not rescind it, says, an important stitch in the tapestry. Claypool really shines with his quirky lyricism on this record, and this is a fine example. Also, Scarrick! He typed it in all caps, had to do it. And finally, Brooks Delight is about to take our jobs yet again. And Brooks breaks it down as follows. We don't have a Brooks Breaks It Down theme yet, do we? We need one of those.
We need one, yeah.
And Brooks is a musician. He could certainly put together
knock
something.
that out in a few minutes.
You bet. 5-minute version of the Brooks Breaks It Down. Kello, what do you got for a Brooks Breaks It Down 5-minute flourish? Excuse me, 5-second flourish.
There you go.
Brooks breaks it down. He says, I think this track is very overlooked. The non-existent live history certainly supports that argument. Personally, I'm a big fan of this song. It's full of trademark Claypoolisms. The stop-start quality throughout the track, a tale of tragedy, and an absolute banger of a bass solo. This one just might be my white whale. Also, Scarrick! Dang. Brooks essentially writes the abstract of our papers on these episodes. Well, thank you, primates, for those wonderful takes. Really?
In the future, people will only have to listen to Brooks Break It Down, and that's it.
Oh, yes, absolutely. To save server space, we're just going to have Brooks Breaks It Down segments, and that'll be it. And then we'll have like 10,000 of them. They won't have to listen to us. Kello, I noticed you had to tune back up after your Brooks Breaks It Down theme.
He broke it down.
All right, it's on to Frankie's favorite segment. Live cuts.
A jam vehicle.
Live cuts. The jam vehicle. Live cuts.
What's going on here?
What do we got, Frankie?
We got nothing.
And done.
What?
You know what I didn't look for, and I've not been searching, are covers of the Whales and Woe tunes, and I haven't been doing that regularly. I wonder if there's a cover of this one out in the world. I'm not going to look right now.
Some people have tackled one better.
One better.
Yeah.
Are these bass covers?
Bass covers.
Yeah, I would love to see a full band cover of any of these tunes. That's a nice thing. I'm going to clip that. I like that.
Human. We're human, you know?
Yes. Although, I don't know, Kello, I feel human most days, but when I talk to you, I feel as though you are akin to a Titan on Mount Olympus.
A Viking.
Maybe it's the lighting in your abode, but it feels very Titanic.
Well, this is a larger room, so...
Well, you filled it with some badass stuff. Oh, yeah. I guess I can say this. There was something gained today, Nothin Ventured, because you've been tracked. Next time, we discuss how I like to percolate my coffee.
Hopefully that means drink.
Well, you got to brew it first. Kello, how do you take your coffee?
With coconut milk.
Interesting.
No?
Uh,
I take it black. Frankie, you don't even drink coffee, do you?
Only the sweet variety. So that could be like with milk, with chocolate. Yeah, but I mean, just black? No, never.
Okay. Let me ask you this. How do you take your Yoo-hoo?
Straight up.
That's my guy.
When you say you, the one thing I think about is the glue.
You guys, Frankie and his Yoo-hoo. I've never met somebody who liked chocolate water so much.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It's not like the is it chocolate water? I think about when I was a kid, they would sell chocolate powder in like a bag, and then you would do that with hot water.
Yeah.
Like hot cocoa, but with water.
Uh-huh.
Is that what you're talking about?
That's essentially what Yoo-hoo is to me. KO, the good people can find you at KOGC just about everywhere, including YouTube, Instagram, probably the two most important places to find you.
TikTok, TikTok if you want to see me dancing, or no.
Dang, that's too bad.
I'll do some Primus dance for you.
Take your time. Limber up first. Stretch your legs. That's the Primus dance. So go find KO, Perzit, Nata, Kello Gonzalez. I'm sure I'm missing some of your other musical projects. Those are the three I remember.
You'll find him there.
And I'm looking forward to the new Perzit record. And then beyond that, the next Kello Gonzalez record, named Chaotic.
Chaotic Volume 2.
Thanks so much for joining us, KO, on short notice.
Thank you, KO.
Helping us out.
Thank you again for making me work during my vacation.
It's my pleasure.
No, it's mine.
You can make me work on my vacation anytime, and I will tell you, I'm on vacation about 48 weeks a year. So, give me a call. Yeah. Thanks, KO. Thanks, Frankie.
Thank you.
Later days.
Willie Mays.